is math.
Math is math,
Now,
okay.
there's new math being developed all the time, you know, like fractals, but the basic math is basic math. How you teach it changes.
Dr. West,
Yes, sir.
are you gonna put out the same type of format for a math lesson that you want the science lesson in, as far as the beginning part?
The beginning part's all the same. That does not change. It's whatever the standards are for math will be up there.
I think the question was, like, how you have science, they have to break down every book, and you have a format for science.
Well, you just have one, you'll have a TEKS column and you'll have your NCTM column.
Are you gonna create an electronic version of that, or should we just use the science version and
I
rename it?
just use the science version. Or you can create your own.
Are they gonna receive it electronically?
They already have.
Okay, then.
We've received the science
Yeah.
version.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. For those of you in science, I want you to remember, that we had the discussion, and this was Sandy's, this was her assignment. So she was given a grade 2, and I told you this was kind of strange because this matter and interactions, which is PS1, that's the strand, there's only a grade 2 and a grade 5 in it. But notice it's a series of lessons, okay? So, or excuse me, not a series of lessons, a series of assessments. So the student will demonstrate their understanding if they can plan and conduct an investigation to describe and classify different kinds of materials in their by their observable properties. So that's the end of that lesson, if you would, or multiple lessons. So in my mind, theoretically, because I hadn't done this before, it seemed to me like this would be at least 4 lessons. Well, Sandy chose not to do that. She decided to do it in stations. So you had multiple stations for this. We have those lesson plans. We have everything from that. You know, if you want to take it and make something with it, we have that. But I can't. It seems to me that you could not. Children are not. That's only one experience with a concept. One experience with a concept does not develop understanding of it. But you'd have to develop multiple experiences within a lesson for that. You need to also look at the engineering and there it is, scientific practices. So in all of these, you will see at least one about planning investigations, analyzing data, constructing explanations. So constructing explanations is science, designing solutions is engineering. So you need to make sure you understand the difference. I'm not saying do or not do one or the other, I'm just saying make sure you understand the difference. And then engaging in argument from evidence. That's the same thing we were talking about a while ago, about explaining students' understanding. What is the evidence for your answer? That's what Browning had y'all do constantly. She didn't call it that, but that's what it is. And so that's a critical element. This is the content, so if you went back to the K-12 framework, I like to start with a framework first. That helps me. And then go to the NGSS. But this is this is the content, if you would. And then cross-cutting concepts. So what kind of patterns do you see in this topic area? Are you able to identify cause and effect? And then using, when they say cause and effect, they're talking about correlational or experimental designs. And I want to go back to some language that was used in the science lesson today. You don't prove something is true in science. What's the language for science? What do we have in science? You don't prove something. What?
Support your
I can't hear you.
support, like I support my conclusion,
No, you don't support it.
Or the evidence supports.
The data or the evidence supports your explanation or does not support. So in science fair, you should see some language like that these results support the hypothesis or does not support the hypothesis. So you don't prove stuff in science. That's not scientifically correct. So we wanna say, we wanna ask students, what does their data support or not support their explanation or the explanation that's proposed to them. And then they've got the connections to engineering, and then here are the math connections. Oops, you can't see these. These are the math and ELA connections. I'd be interested to see if those are any help to you when you're planning your science lessons. I think the last thing that I want to leave you with is these effective teaching strategies. Oh, there they are. It's actually science, but it tends to be true also with math. So the idea of how can you plan a lesson a day that's using enhanced context. What's on that black chart over there that's kind of a key word for you? Known, right, real world, known, et cetera. Could be a hurricane even, you know, it's not kind of known, if you would. Collaborative learning, questioning, using manipulatives. This testing strategies, remember, is in your formative assessment. These are the questions that you're asking your students. That's why you want to put those in. Students and teachers using technology effectively. Now remember, technology is just another tool. It is not a silver bullet. If it's not used well, students are not going to learn science or math any better than if you didn't use it. In fact, it may be worse. You may spend a lot of time on technology instead of teaching. It doesn't work. Enhanced materials. What is this saying to us? Brownie? You want to tell the story about your biology teacher observation that you made with the PowerPoint?
Yes. So earlier this summer, I was supervising an intern. She was an intern too, so she was doing her clinical teaching, and she was also a para in the school. So if you've been the state of Texas has a program, if you've been a paraprofessional for 3 years, then they basically pay for your education, and you can do your student teaching in the summer. Well, summer school and high school biology is not very long because they're kids that didn't pass the STAR exam or kids that missed too many days when they're making up time. Anyway, so she was teaching about the kingdoms, you know, plants, animals, all those kingdoms. And her cooperating teacher had borrowed a PowerPoint from the biology teacher for my student teacher to use. Now, the cooperating teacher was a chemistry teacher, so she borrowed the PowerPoint. And so my student teacher is up there and she's trying to go through the PowerPoint, and the kids aren't following her, they're having real issues, and so finally she looks at me in the back of the room, and I knew what that look meant. It's like a, uh-oh, yeah, what do I do? And finally, and of course I can't say anything because I was making a formal observation at that time. So finally she said, this is enough of the PowerPoint or something like that. So we're gonna go on and we're gonna do something else. And so she got the kids doing something else. By that time they may have been, I don't know what they were doing. Anyway, so afterwards when we were debriefing the lesson, she was like, the PowerPoint didn't work. And I was like, yeah, where'd you get that? And she said, well, my cooperating teacher gave it to me. She borrowed it from the biology teacher. She said it was great. Neither one of them looked over that PowerPoint before that teacher got a student teacher who tried to teach. So they were depending on somebody else to hand them on a silver platter something to do, and that never, ever works. You can take somebody else's work, share it with them, but then you have to tweak it and make it your own. You just have to at least go through it and read it. So, of course, her evaluation that day was the lowest one that she got of the 3. So she was more than upset. But that's just, you just have to do that. You can share, but then you have to make it your own. You have to actually, in math, you have to actually work the problems that somebody gives you, or do the activity that somebody gives you, so that you know it works.
That's true in science.
I could never have done that fraction activity I did with y'all yesterday if I had not done it like 500 million times before, with just myself and then with kids. I just couldn't have done it. And then I do it all the time with my pre-service teachers too. So I had lots of practice with that lesson.
So remember your best practices as you're planning your lessons. So just, again, try to refresh it in your mind, so as you're planning, you're thinking about this. So, first thing you're gonna do is your research. And then you're going to, the first thing you're gonna do is select the TEKS. Then you're gonna do the research on that concept. And don't be thinking about activities or anything else, because you'll get thrown off. You'll end up with not a good quality if you start thinking about activities. So, okay. And then we'll have a time at the end to report out where you are. Yes, ma'am?
Probably Dr. Browning, on the one concept per lesson, would like our lesson on dividing fractions, is that one concept?
That's a very complicated concept.
Okay.
So that is one concept, but then we've got unit fractions, we've got mixed numbers, we've got, that involves a whole lot.
Okay, so what if it was just, like the fractions we had on our was just, I don't know, basic fractions, unit fractions?
Okay, I tell you what, since that's an
Maybe.
individual question, why
Well, I mean, I don't know if it applied to everybody.
well, it doesn't apply to everybody, but it does apply to math. I've already told the science people that their TEKS will have multiple concepts in there. And you just
Well, the
choose
TEKS for
to-
math also have multiple concepts in there, because it will say, I think Tim read one the other day, it said measure, volume, area, perimeter, listed a whole things that you have to do, and you can't do all of that in one lesson.
Well, the question I get to is, 4 to 5 concrete experiences mean working out 4 to 5 problems? So no?
No, that's not enough, it needs 45 different times that they had an activity.
Oh, that said 4 to 5.
Yeah, 4 to 5.
Okay,
Yes.
I didn't say I had.
so 4 to 5, so what is,
I just said.
what's a concrete experience?
So we would do, I wouldn't throw all those fractions at students like I did at all.
Okay.
We would start with a whole number divided by fraction, that's one experience. And then unit fractions.
I just wanted to make sure that you knew.
Day later or something, and then,
Wow, so 5,
it takes a long time.
so that's not just 5 different problems in one, that's not 5 experiences.
So today is one concept, because like when I look at what we did, there's lots of concepts, but would it have been generating a numerical pattern when given a rule in a form?
So this is actually.
Or is it evidence? I think I got you. I read on down. Use concrete objects and pictorial models to develop the formula. I mean, it still works, it's just not, I mean, it's still learning how to generate a formula.
And you don't have to use
But I love it, I do it to these Right, but I love this even as like an introductory to that, because if we haven't done patterns in a while, if I haven't done something or then I'm activating all of that knowledge before I launch into a more complicated concept, right? I mean, yeah.
particular activity that is actually here. Pam, you may want to.
Well, I can't, I have 30. Oh, well, I mean,
Years for a while. But you know,
they were heavy.
when you're confused and when you're concentrating, those two places go the same.
It's been the highlight of my experience.
Oh, good.
You need to speak up.
Yeah, that would be, like, sure. Think about it, share it to your partners, or share with your coworkers, and then you're monitoring. And you know what's supposed to
Even though I really need to work with candidates.
right? And then see that. Yeah.
What do you mean?
Have we finished the horizontal line? Are we? We need to finish the horizontal. I'm not sure we need to finish it on fourth grade or our grade, but we need to finish it on fourth grade. So we were working on the third 9 weeks.
So that's how I got.
But I think, we'll have to ask Dr. West about this. But I think it would be more beneficial if we looked at the first science now. If we looked at running really hard for a strand, for science and math, and then like 5.5 for matter and science, we had A, B, C. And if we did,
Short at the same time.
if we're gonna do a lesson on 5.5 A, you're gonna do these, you're gonna do C. That way we should have an entire junior. And then maybe the same thing for math. Choose a strand, and then do one campus does this one, that's campus, right? Right, there's no way we're gonna be able to 2 weeks, the time we have at the end of the day, plan for an entire year. But at least the strands that we start with, we can have some really good lessons, good to be ready to go.
And if we could look at maybe like that first 9 weeks.
Guys, y'all don't need, Lockhart people, you do not need this electronic version yet, you're not ready for it.
Right.
You got all that other research to do, so we're gonna send it to you, we're gonna send it to you electronically, but you don't need it right
We
now.
have to finish the horizontal.
What?
Horizontal line.
Oh, you've already done it, you already said there was no problem,
Oh, okay.
right?
Well, I thought you wanted a document.
Well, we wanted a document if there was, but I've decided that it's not making sense of doing a document.
Okay.
Except 6th grade.
We ran calm. So the rest not have to be done.
Well, they're not doing anything,
I'm looking at this overachiever over there going, okay, I'm gonna get this done.
I was looking at the T. Then I was like, where are we?
you're starting with the T.
Start with the T.
Start with a T and a concept within a T.
Where's the motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What y'all may want to do is just put concepts in a T. You might want to just take one T and develop your prescribed lesson.